Even the most popular shows have some errors, and Peppa Pig is no exception. Today we're diving into some sneaky animation errors that might have slipped past you. Let's see what our watchful eyes have uncovered. Like in the episode Painting, Peppa and George are painting some pictures. At the beginning, when they are getting the things ready, we can notice there are 3 colors: blue, red, and yellow. Now right here, we can see Peppa dips her brush in the yellow paint, and we can also notice the yellow color in Peppa's brush. But the mistake is, when scene switches from George to Peppa, the color in Peppa's brush disappears. Where did it go? Peppa's canvas is empty, so she definitely didn't use it. And that's not all. Moments later, when the scene again switches from George to Peppa, the brush now has yellow color in it. Is that a magical brush? In the episode Swimming, we can see a changing room with 4 doors, each one a different color. Daddy Pig comes out of the first blue door, Mummy Pig from the green door, Peppa from the yellow door, and George from the red door. The doors remain exactly like this throughout the episode. But when we get to the end, something weird happens. The colors of the doors change completely, and their order is reversed. The first door becomes red, and the last one blue, and all the colors are reversed. Moving on, in the episode Picnic, the entire pig family goes outdoors for a small picnic. Now, let's look at the picnic blanket. There are many delicious things on it, including 2 sandwiches. The detail is that in the next scene, we see all 4 family members with sandwiches in hand. Additionally, there are 4 plates on the ground, 2 more than before, and 2 glasses of orange juice that also appeared out of nowhere. One next to Mummy Pig, and another next to Daddy Pig. Even the orange juice carton itself mysteriously disappears. It seems as if someone is doing some sort of magic. In one of the episodes, where Peppa is building a castle for a school project, we see the family's table filled with materials like pens, papers, and pencils. Next to the box of crayons, there are various items such as straws, colored sheets, and even some colored pencils. However, when Peppa answers Susie's call, notice that all the materials disappear from that part of the table, leaving only the box of crayons. Still talking about that colorful crayon box, notice that we have 3 units inside the box and 3 outside. But in the next scene, when Peppa answers her friend's call, the 3 sticks that were on the table mysteriously disappear. Not only that, now there are 4 crayon sticks scattered on the floor and another 3 on the kitchen sink counter next to Daddy Pig's head. Additionally, notice that between the scenes, the kitchen sink that was previously near the window disappears completely as well. Going back to the painting episode, right here, we can see Peppa is making her handprint on the canvas. Now, look at the position of the drawing. It's in the middle part of the canvas, right? But the mistake is, when the scene zooms out, the position of the drawing changed. Now the drawing is towards upper part of the canvas, whereas earlier, it was at the middle. In the episode Granny and Grandpa's Attic, Peppa and George go to their grandparents' house to help tidy their attic. Right when they enter the house, we can notice a hanging lamp right above them. But the mistake here is that when they climb up the staircase, we can notice that the hanging lamp is now almost glued to the wall. But earlier, the lamp was hanging up to the ground floor. How's this even possible? Seriously, these mistakes get funnier every time. In the episode Long Train Journey, Daddy Pig receives a letter saying he must go away on business to test some very important concrete. Peppa, Mummy, and George all decide to go with Daddy and enjoy a train journey. The whole pig family goes to the station and waits for the train. When the train arrives, they sit in their respective seats. Now look carefully. When we get a zoomed out view of the train, we notice that a cat is sitting 1 seat behind the pig family. But the issue is, when the train reaches its destination, the same cat can be seen waiting outside the train. Literally, the same character is inside and outside the train at the same time. Are these characters twins or what? Now, this mistake is quite funny. When Daddy Pig asks if he could have a potato to Mummy Pig, we can see there are 5 potatoes inside the pot. So far, so good. But the issue is, seconds later, when Mummy Pig brings the pot towards Daddy Pig, we can notice there are now 6 potatoes in it instead of 5. Where did that extra potato spawn from? Moving on, in the episode Thunderstorm, we noticed a funny error. Here, Peppa and George are playing in the garden when they hear thunder. Peppa and George get a bit frightened and go running inside the house. But when they all get inside the house, Peppa realizes that she has left her teddy bear in the garden. Now look carefully. We can see there's a teddy bear lying on the ground. And if we notice the background, there's nothing. But when Daddy Pig goes to get the teddy, we can notice a tree in the background. The tree basically appeared out of nowhere. In the episode Best Friend, Peppa Pig invites her best friend Susie Sheep over to play. We see them taking various toys out of a basket and scattering them on the floor. But when George wants to join the fun, Peppa doesn't allow him. Poor Georgie. Anyway, after this scene, we return to the same spot and notice that the little horn that was next to the green notebook on the floor has disappeared. Then we see it magically on the other side of the room. And that's not all. When the girls take the toys out of the basket, one of the first is a jack in the box, which even opens up when they take it out. However, after talking to George shortly after, we can see that the toy is no longer on the floor of the room. But unlike the horn, we don't see it again. Maybe the animators were a little lazy to clean up all that mess. In the episode, Cleaning the Car, Daddy Pig's car is covered in mud, so he decides it's time to clean it. Later in the episode, when George wants to wash the windows of the car, we can notice there are two mud stains, one on the front glass and the other towards the door glass. But the mistake is, when Mummy Pig picks up George, we can see he cleans up the front glass of the car. But seconds later, when we get zoomed out view of the car, we can notice that the mud stain on the door glass has disappeared. In the episode Tidying Up, Peppa and George have to tidy their bedroom. But while they are tidying their room, they get a little distracted by the toys. Let's look at the room here. As we can see, Peppa's room is not that big, right? But the mistake is, when Daddy Pig comes in Peppa's room to check whether it is cleaned or not, he accidentally steps onto a toy car. And when he's sliding across the room becomes very long. And that's not all. After hearing the noise, Mummy Pig also goes in Peppa's room, but now it's back to its normal size. And also, earlier when Daddy Pig stepped onto the room, this toy basket was behind the door, but when Mummy Pig stepped in the room, it suddenly changed its position to the other side of the door. It seems like even the animators got confused with all this mess. In the episode where Daddy Pig teaches the kids how to make their own mud puddles, after all, that's the dream of every child in Peppa's world, we can notice that Peppa is very close to George, Candy Cat, and Susie Sheep. But in the very next scene, we see that Peppa is far away from the other kids, as if by magic. In this same episode, going a bit forward, Daddy Pig shows the kids how the concrete works that he and his team are using to build the new playground for the children. In this scene, we see the kids watching attentively, and George is beside Peppa. But after Daddy Pig gets an idea of stepping into the concrete, Edmund Elephant answers a question about how the concrete will harden quickly. At this moment, we see that George simply disappears from beside Peppa. So you might be wondering, did he fall into the concrete? Thankfully not, because right after this scene, he reappears next to Peppa. So, these were some of the errors we found in Peppa Pig. And as always, we'll see you all in the next video.